Hi, my name is Harry Tie, and welcome to Odejuma. Odejuma is an Ishekiri farewell that loosely translates to till tomorrow. But for me, I look at it as a promise that there is so much more in life to look forward to. And this interview driven storytelling podcast is rooted in that promise. So as you take the time to listen, I want you to feel that as we go deeper with folks from across the Black diaspora, exploring the adventures, resilience, joy, and the ordinary moments that change their lives, that you would have a good, hearty laugh or you find something to sit with. Because there is power in the stories of everyday people, and these stories are worth telling. Hi, y'all. Welcome to a brand new season of Odejuma. I'm super excited to be back to bring you some of the most amazing stories. This has been such a whirlwind of a year, but we're ready to kick things and get moving. So if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you're listening, feel free to follow. That really helps. And if you're watching on YouTube, please use the subscribe button so you can help me grow this platform. Well, I'm gonna jump right in. I'm super excited. I have one of the most talented people that I know. I don't know him personally, but I'm about to get to know him a little bit. But yeah, he's super talented, and I have Victor Jackson, aka Mr. GlamRockSoul, on Odejuma today. Hi, Victor. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Harry. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very grateful to be here.
No problem at all. And like I said, you are our first guest this season. So I'm really excited to dive right in, and
Yeah.
get to know you a little bit better. Everybody's familiar with you and your work, whether they know you personally, whether they know you from Black Queer Spaces, or whether they know you from reality TV, like Real Houses of Atlanta.
Yeah.
But who is Victor Jackson away from all of the assumptions people might have? Who are you in depth?
Victor Jackson is a performing artist, a creative director, by trade. But I think as a person, I'm a creative thinker. I've shown up in a lot of spaces throughout my life, whether it was school or church or, stage, recording studio. And it's been the thought process of a creative that has kept me moving and grooving. And so, whether as a brother with my sisters, Aisha and Dree, whether as an uncle with my nephew, as a son, as a friend, I believe the creative thought process is what keeps me grounded and what keeps me alive. So, yeah, and I'm from College Park. Never forget it. Never
That's
forget it.
awesome. Awesome. Okay, so you talk about being a creative thinker and all of that good stuff. When did you know that you had the creative bone in you? When did the creative bug bite you? And how has that led you to where you are?
Well, both of my parents met in choir in college. And so I'm the oldest of four siblings who all grew up singing and dancing. And very early, I was choreographing performances for like family friends and everything with my siblings, Vaughn, Aisha, and Dree. And yeah, it really awakened that creativity in me. I would pull the sheet, make a gown for my sister, get the patent leather hat, put it on my brother for his Michael Jackson number. Like I was like, I have a cast, and before I knew what the term choreographer was, before I knew what the job title of a creative director was, I always sought out information. My mom would take us to the College Park Library. I would rent out books about fashion history. I would rent out original Broadway cast recordings and movie musicals. And so it was always a hunger waiting to be fed. And whether it was being fed by, Kirk Franklin or a kickball change, it was finding those morsels of motivation out in the real world. And those morsels are really what built Glam Rock Soul. When we first started the company, the logo was a mirror ball, a disco ball. And I wanted it to be that because you don't get a disco ball unless you break the glass. And
Mm,
it's a lot of broken pieces that have come together to make this light, that people speak of, but inside, it can remain empty if you don't do the work to fill it. And so I learned very early on that my creativity is a muscle that I must work, that I must train, and that I must feed. in order for it to grow strong.
That is beautiful. And as you were speaking, you mentioned Kirk Franklin, and I read somewhere that you grew up kind of religious.
Yeah.
So how did that factor
Kinda
into
religious is good.
into your artistry and also into you coming into yourself as someone who's also like black and who's queer as well, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So my dad is a pastor, my mom is an elementary school teacher, and so church was a very big part of my life. Choir rehearsal, Bible study, Sunday school, vacation Bible school. But it's also where I danced for the first time. It was one Easter Sunday. I was 12 or 13. I had never taken a dance class up until that point. I would just watch like Cats and the Nutcracker when it came on public television during like the telethons, the annual telethons. And so I one year for Easter, I was like, I don't want to do a speech anymore. I want to dance. And this was the year that Kirk Franklin had put out Lean on Me. And I danced in like a full suit, hush puppies, like everything. And this was a Kojic church, Church of God in Christ, if anyone is familiar. And so it was very traditional. And my father ended up starting his own ministry. It's a non denominational ministry. And I was very active in that ministry. And a lot of it really prepared me for the work that I do professionally. Also, there were real moments of feeling, of hearing the dogma of homosexuality being preached in both my home church and in other sacred spaces. And it took a lot of work for me. And I'm 40 years old, and I like to just always put that asterisk there because I like had my first boyfriend when I was 16. And it's taken from 16 to 40 to really find the fullness of myself. And I don't regret the amount of time that it's taken because I know that there are a lot of Black queer ancestors who didn't even make it to this age to have this discovery. So I
Yeah.
honor the time that it's taken. And I also honor the fruit that has resulted from that time, the mentees that I have, the children that I have, the people who tell me I moved to Atlanta to pursue dance because I saw you on Housewives. Like, seeing someone on Housewives dancing who didn't even take a dance class until they were 17, it's like I'm a living, breathing testimony of what can happen when you just tap into who you are and believe in the power of your own authenticity.
That is beautiful to hear. That is so beautiful to hear. And to see that it's showing very evident in your work. It shows up in how you engage as well. So that is pretty cool. And I should have done this earlier. As we started the interview, congratulations. I saw that you're gonna be in Cinderella at the True Colors Theater. Which I've been to once. I don't live in
Mhm.
Atlanta. I live in Minneapolis, but I love Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm there all the time. And I've
Yes.
seen a show at True Colors before and I really loved it. And so I'm
What
excited to,
show did you see?
Judge's African hair
Oh,
braiding.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
that's what that is my favorite play. But as of now, it might change. Um my favorite musical is what is my favorite musical? I don't know. But for my play, I would say it is Judges, and I saw the second time at True Colors.
Yeah.
I'm bummed I won't be able to see because I think y'all end in June.
Well, we start in June. We
You start
end
in June. Oh,
Yes, we start in June. Our rehearsals start next month. Start
okay.
May 12th. So I'll be playing a little double duty with Cinderella and Candy for a short while. But I'm very excited to be in the cast of Cinderella. I've done a handful of productions with True Colors Theater Company. The last time I did a show with them, it was the first Noel written by Jason Michael Webb. Shout out to Jason. And that was a beautiful moment. And so from like 2020, from like that point until now, I've done a lot of like my own original music, done a lot of, intense artist development work with some artists who are starting to pop up and shine their light in the world right now. And just at this point in my life, after calling off my engagement, restarting my life, and kind of looking at the foundation on which I want to rebuild, theater has always been an important part of my creative process and my storytelling. So when I saw that True Colors was doing Cinderella, directed and choreographed by Jewel Lane, music
Mm-hmm.
direction by Robbie. I was like, this is my invitation to re-enter the space. And it was a beautiful audition experience. And honestly, after the audition experience, I was like, if this is all that I get, I'm fine. Like it just felt good to be back in the room. And yeah, I got more. I got exactly what I needed. And it's funny, I saw Jewel at a birthday party over the weekend. He walked up to me. He said, "Honey, the prince is giving a ball." I said, "Yes,
Yes.
he
And
is."
you're playing Lionel, which is also
Yeah,
like an
I'm playing
iconic,
Lionel.
and that's like an iconic character as well, very integral to the story,
Yeah,
and to the life of the prince in
yeah.
the musical. So that is so exciting. So it runs from June up until when?
It
Let me see when that
runs. I
begins.
don't want to lie. Our opening night is June 12th, and
Okay.
we run until July 9th, I want to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I will be rooting for you. I'm sure they're gonna do amazing.
Thank you.
As you were speaking, though, you spoke about calling off your engagement. How
Mhm.
are you feeling post that process? What have you learned from that experience? We don't need to get into the nitty gritties because that's your personal life, and I don't
Yeah.
want to push if you don't want to if you don't want to. Um, but that is also like a defining, thing that happens to people. So how are you in general, and what are you learning through this process?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. It has been, I'll say the last year of my life has been revelatory in a myriad of ways. But what it has revealed the most is how much love I'm surrounded by. From my family to my tribe to collaborators and colleagues. Like, I really got to have the full body affirmation that what I left does not compare to what I'm currently in the middle of and what is to come. And I just needed to be replanted in soil that is actually beneficial for me. I feel like you will know a tree by its fruit. And I was able to bear fruit in that season. And I'm proud of the fruit that I was able to bear in that season. But I also know that there was fruit being manifested before that season. There's fruit being manifested even now, and that there's more fruit for me to access. And so I have done a lot of work. There's been some good therapy sessions that are ongoing, some good journaling, some good meditating, some good cries, some good conversations, but they've all reminded me that I'm surrounded by all the love that I need. And that my love story starts within and it ends within, and that no one could ever take that away from me. So shout out to Whitney Houston. But yeah, it has been, I've said the coldest winter ever. Like it was the coldest winter ever. And it becomes that way when you expect someone to show up and they don't. And it's not the first time that it happened in my life. I pray that it'll be the last, but all I can do is remember that my love story begins and ends with me. That puts the pen in my hand, that puts the choice in my hand, and that puts the power in my hand. And most of the work that I've been doing over the past 4 months has been actively and intentionally calling my power back, calling my likeness back, calling my connections back, calling my gifts and talents back into the storehouse so that I can carve and create what is next for me. So, yeah, I do not regret the decision. I encourage anybody who feels like they're in a place and space that does not honor them to leave and to create the sanctuary that reflects their own divinity.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really beautiful to hear. And you talk about holding the pen again. So, what is the story that you're writing now with this pen? What is the and I know you talk about how your love story starts with you, but I think I'm curious about like what is in this new phase of Mr. GlamRockSoul's life? What is the story that you're looking to tell right now?
I believe the story that I'm actively telling is one of a phoenix rising. Atlanta's like symbol or emblem is the phoenix. I was born in Atlanta. I was raised in College Park, Georgia, and really the work and the life and the training that I've had in Atlanta set me on a path to do the work that I'm doing now. And so I am remembering the phoenix and remembering that in order for a phoenix to rise, everything must burn down. And so I am not being afraid of the ashes. I'm not avoiding the ashes, nor am I looking to save things that need to be destroyed. I am letting them burn so that the phoenix can rise. And whether it was shooting Choices and congratulations at the top of the year, whether it was the sold out show in Brooklyn, Rhythms of Romance that I did with my friend Sierra, whether it's just this show I Did, I'm Done that I just did creative direction for with Candy, or going into this rehearsal process with Cinderella. The phoenix is rising, and I don't have to worry about the ashes because they will soon fade away.
Yeah. I
And
think
so
even
that's the story. And like, I'm grateful to be in this season of April Showers. You know, it's a record that I put out in 2024. And I wrote the record after my nephew Aiden was born. And that was when really like the way or my role in showing up in the world shifted because he's my first nephew. And just like seeing him and seeing his joy and seeing new life year to year, he's now 3. I'm so grateful that annually we get the showers of April to wash away the things that no longer serve us and to reinforce the things that make us our best self. Because without that annual check, we may not push those things out ourselves. So yeah, like I'm telling the story of April showers now, but Mayflowers are on the way and the prince is giving a ball, you know? So it's all there. And I mean, that's the thing. I'm not plotting anything out. Like I'm living my life. I'm living my life. I spent the last 5 years of my life planning a wedding, planning to be on this carpet, planning to be at this event. And really realizing that the things that were necessary are the things that stuck, and the things that were not necessary are the things that are no longer there. And trusting that and trusting it enough to stay, as Duran says, to stay planted in the present, like keep my feet where I'm planted and let that show me the beauty of all that's in this present moment.
Yeah, yeah. I was just listening to you. I just was thinking about how, you have an idea when you're about to talk to someone. If you like, if you're interviewing someone, you have an idea, okay, I'm gonna ask this, and then gonna go here. But even I feel like what you're offering in this moment is even more powerful because I feel like there are a lot of people who are going through a space of, figuring out what's next. I personally I'm experiencing that myself, going through a transition period in my life where, if you had asked me in 2 years ago, is this where you're going to be, I would have a completely different answer for you. But to be in the process of the change, and being in the process of getting, going through the ashes, can be very difficult. And so
Mhm.
to hear how you were reflecting on this moment in your life is very beautiful. And it's also quite inspiring as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been talking a lot within my tribe. Like we've been having these conversations internally. I haven't been doing like a lot of IG lives or interviews this year because I've been wanting to process things on my own and not project onto anyone's situation. And I did that post in February, like announcing the engagement publicly. It was mostly because at that point I realized I needed to create a clear separation. And I couldn't rely on anybody else to do that for me. And I think a lot of times when we're in moments of transition, whether it's personal or professional, we want to hold on to remnants of things or we let things hang on to us that will eventually start sucking the life out of you. Like it will eventually start pulling your life force and your creativity out of you. And if you want to maintain it, you have to be okay with pulling things off of you. You have to be okay with coming out of the transition anew. Like, and that will sometimes mean with nothing. That will sometimes mean at square one. That will sometimes mean the ashes. But you know what I mean? Beauty for ashes. Give me a blank canvas. Let's make a masterpiece. It's like you are who you are, and everything that you've ever pulled out of yourself to bring into the world. There's a treasure trove there just waiting for you to tap back into it. And we can tap into so many other things wanting to be viable for the algorithm, wanting to be scalable in capitalism and like all those things. But at the end of the day, to be churchy, only what you do for Christ will last. And so it's like at the end of the day, you can try to do all of these things, but it's about how you make people feel. Like that's what Maya Angelou says. Like, you do, but it's like it's about how you make people will remember how you make them feel. And so for me, I was like, I don't want to start projecting so much that I'm making people feel like, oh, love isn't possible. I'll be single forever. Oh, transition is difficult. I'll never see the other side of whatever moment I'm in. It's like seasons are seasons. Trees go bare every winter. The tree does not then uproot itself and leave. The tree trusts its roots and trusts that every season the bloom will come, the fruit will come, like the life will return. But like in those moments of trusting your roots, you really got to be okay with letting things go.
Do you have a church? Do you have a church? Can I be in your congregation or something?
I do not have there was a there was a time where like growing up, a prophetess came to my father's church and she had called me up for prayer and like prayed over me and she was like, "You will preach to the nations." I was like in my I would say mid-20s at that point. Oh yeah, I was about mid-20s at that point. And so like I had already been on Housewives. I had already done 2 tours for Lil Wayne. I was starting to work with other artists here and there. But she called me up, she prophesied, she was like, you will preach to the nations, the masses will hear your voice, like boom, boom, boom. And I looked at her and I was like, I am already doing that. Like I'm preaching to housewives, rappers, and drug dealers. And like that's my congregation. Like those are my people. And it's like when I look at the ministry of Jesus, I refer to it as the divine human example because this is a divine being, sent through the same portal of a woman that we are all sent through, and sent here to honor her. And in honoring her, he was able to honor the humanity in everyone that he encountered. And the honoring of the humanity is mirroring the God in you, the God in me, the God in you, the God in me. And so it's like I'm treating you the way that I would honor God. And in such, the same thing happens. And it's like, for me, I'm not looking to lead a congregation. I'm looking to exist in the world and
Be
unlock
an
the leadership in
inspiration?
everyone else. You know what I mean? Because like we are
Yeah.
all leading someone. Somebody is looking at all of us for their next step forward. And if we can all believe again in the like divine power of our own authenticity, like the leader follower thing will be done and we will exist in a world of leaders all encouraging each other to be our best selves, not to make more money, not to get more followers, not to be defined by outside metrics, but to be renewed by the transforming of our mind.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I feel like there's something. Maybe there's a thing in you that is that
There's
is that is
something on
that
the
that,
way.
that
There's something on the way. I will be speaking more in the weeks to come.
Okay, that is pretty cool. I like how we've gone with this conversation, but I want to bring us to um, your work and your
Yes,
artistry, which is also something that we need to highlight and talk about. You are a dancer, you do music, you're a storyteller.
yes.
What would you say is your preferred medium of expression when it comes to your creative work?
I don't have a preferred medium. Like at this point, like literally the perspective of a creative director, it's constantly like making a smoothie, making a cocktail, making like it's constantly like putting these things together to tell a story. It's like you don't have a book without a cover and pages. And it's like you need these things. And so for me, like as a choreographer, I'm listening to the music as a singer to determine my musicality. And then once we're on stage, I'm like, well, what does it look like? What is the look? What is the mood board? Like, and so my favorite medium is me because it is all coming through me, and I'm grateful for that. There's a moment in Michael, the movie, no spoilers, but like, he's like, if I don't use this creativity that God gave me, if I don't use this creativity, God will give it to Prince. And it's like, it's a really funny line, like considering all the lore that we've been told, but like, it is also a truth that like, I'm not like, I believe that what's for me is for me. But I also believe that like the table is spread and the feast of the Lord is going on. So come and make you a plate. And so like I like to be in process. I like to be in a creative process. I showed up, I will show up to your sound check and be like, okay, well, what if we did this? What if we pulled the hair over here? Like, well, what if you didn't sing that verse? What am I like my favorite medium is me.
Okay. 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 And as someone who did a lot of creative direction work, you did choreography for other artists, you did all of these things, and then decided that okay, fine, I'm in the space where I can do my own thing. When did that shift happen? Was that always the plan? And how do you juggle, your own dreams versus working and continue to, help shape other artists and other creative people alike?
Yeah. So my brother Vaughn and I were 15 months apart. We grew up singing together. So the goal was always like, first we were a group. We were totally blessed kids and we like hit the Atlanta church circuit and like did that. But as we got older, like in my 20s, I started a band. So I was a lead singer for a band called 230. And Vaughn was going into the studio, doing more like studio work, traditional R&B work. So I was doing more like soul music, live music. He was doing more like R&B. And as that journey unfolded, Vaughn ended up passing in 2008. And so when
Oh,
Vaughn
I'm sorry.
passed, I stepped away from music. Thank you. I stepped away from music to grieve, honestly. And I didn't see a world where I could pursue music without my brother being alive. And so I took 7 years away from music and directed my attention to choreography and creative direction. And in 2015, as the 7 year clock was coming to an end, I was in a rehearsal with Jay Hud. We were rehearsing Trouble for Kids' Choice Awards performance with Iggy Azalea. Iggy wasn't at rehearsal that day, so I was walking through the choreo with Jay as like Iggy. And it got to the chorus, and I started singing the chorus so that she could sing the lead. And after we did the run through, she turned to me and she was like, "Oh, you can sing." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, girl." Like, "That girl, nah." And she was like, "No, no, no, no. Like, you can really sing, and you'll never be fulfilled unless you use your voice." And so that was like February 2015. I had moved to LA. Iggy was supposed to go on tour that like April. Tour got pushed back. And then in June, they told us that the tour was being canceled. And I was crossing the street in LA to go to the bus stop across the street from the Magic Johnson Fridays. And God spoke to me clear as day. It was like, go back to Atlanta and work on your music. And at that point in my life, I had said, I had avoided music for 7 years. And so I was like, either you're going to do it now or you're gonna wait another however many years. And there was something about the clarity of God's voice in that moment. It wasn't like do music and be famous. It was like this is the time for you to return to music. It wasn't like and you will win everything. It was just this is the time for you to return to music. And I look at that first single, Bus of Love, that I put out in 2015 and where I am now, 26, after just like opening for Candy's show last night and being a creative director for the show. And when you talk about the balance of it, it is really about taking things off the scales that don't matter. Like I'm only trying to balance the things that matter. The things that don't matter, I'm actively taking them off the scale because I know what I'm here to do. I know who I'm here to work with, to impact, to connect with. I try the spirit by the spirit, real talk, because I've
Mm,
lost so many people in my life. Like so many people have transitioned into the ancestral realm. So I won't say I've lost them. They just exist in another space now. And it's like I don't have space to grieve things that were never meant for me. I would much rather remove them before the weight gets so heavy that I have to lift it off. Like, I would much rather remove it where it's just a put down and a walk away. And that has helped me really balance. Like, I have a team with me. Team GRS is with me, Candace and Bree and Sheena. And like, I don't have to do everything because Bree, I mean, if I talk about last night, like Bree went on the first tour that I choreographed for Candy. Candace has worked with me on Welcome to the Dungeon, volume 1, 2, and 3. And Sheena is on the cover. Candace and Sheena are on the cover of my Man Muse Magic EP. It's like I've been grateful for the people who have surrounded me and my tribe because that is really what allows me to do both. And it's so interesting because when my brother transitioned, I felt like I couldn't do music without him. But in his transition, he has been able to intercede on my behalf and put the people around me so that I am able to pour out and be refilled in my work.
that's beautiful. What would you, if you could say anything to your brother right now, what would you say to him?
I would say thank you. He and I have had extensive conversations over the last week. But I will say where we did our final rehearsal for I Do, I Did, I'm Done is like 10 minutes away from where my brother is buried. So before I went to rehearsal, I went to visit my brother's gravesite and we spoke and I went to rehearsal. And yesterday, while I was packing up costumes to go to rehearsal, I found an old photo album and there were pictures of me, him, and DJ A1, who is Candy's DJ because we went to elementary, middle, and high school together. But like my brother Vaughn has been present in this process. My friend Terrell, my friend Mike, my friend Taiwan, my grandparents. Like I have an ancestral council and I take that ancestral council seriously because those are people who loved me while they were in this realm and they now see me from a different vantage point and they're able to make sure that I have what I need as I go into the spaces that I am ordained to occupy.
That's beautiful to hear. That really is beautiful to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I just reflected a little bit on what you said. That's beautiful to hear. So thank you. You talk about your creative partnership. You've mentioned Candy quite often throughout this conversation, and that has been a creative partnership that we've witnessed um on the Atlanta Housewives up until now. What is the thing that has sustained that creative partnership with her for this long that you've been working with her
Yeah.
for?
I feel like short answer, real recognize real. That's short answer.
Hmm.
Long answer, I Escape came to sing at my church, the same church that I danced at for the first time when I was 13. They came to sing at that church when I was 8 because Latasha and Tamika's dad was a minister there. So that was the first time that I saw 4 people from College Park, 4 people from the South Side make it. And so that was the first glimpse. The choir from Tri Cities High School came to my elementary school when I was in like third or fourth grade. And I came home that day to my parents and was like, I need to go to Tri Cities High School. Like this has to happen. And so there's something about Candy's existence that has kind of just tracked enough ahead of me to be a possibility model at like every step of the way. And there was even a reality show that I competed on as a choreographer called Welcome to Dreamland. It was like this BT show with Jazzy Faye and Drummer Boy and this whole things. But like Candy was one of the final judges. And I don't even know if she remembers like that I was on that show, but our team ended up winning. And again, like the possibility model continued to be sparked and sparked and sparked. So I met Candy like for the first time. Well, not meeting, but like the first time we actually like sat down and talked was at her best friend Kwame's birthday party. So Derek J invited me as his plus one to Kwame's birthday dinner that Candy was hosting. And after we all went out to this live music place called Sugar Hill. Shout out to Jay Carter. Sugar Hill is no longer there, but it was just the perfect, like, cozy live music venue. And Joy Gillum she used to host open mics on Wednesday nights. Joy, if anybody doesn't know Joy, go listen to Tennessee Slim is the Bomb. Just had an anniversary. You will be blessed. But Joy called me up on stage and she was like, usually people come up to sing, but this is Victor. He is a dancer. He's a choreographer. We had worked together on a project with Michael Knight called Kitty's Litter. You can Google that if you want to. It was great. It was a great, great cabaret show. Joy performed, Tweet performed. But I got to work with Joy. She called me up on stage that night. So Derek J is in the audience with Candy and Kwame. Joy calls me on stage. She's like, normally people come up here and sing, but tonight y'all need to see him dance. So band, just jam out and he's gonna dance. And literally it was one of those moments where I was like, either I could be like, no, 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 or I can trust and I can surrender. And that was about a year after my brother Vaughn had passed. No, it's like a couple of months, honestly, after Vaughn had passed. And I had started working a little bit more, but I was still raw. I was still very vulnerable. And I danced. I danced my heart out on that stage until I was done. Walked off stage. The first two people I saw were Anthony David and India Ari. They both hugged me. They were like, oh my gosh, you were amazing. Like, da 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 da. And then I went back to sit in the section that we were all in. And Candy was like, hey, I'm about to be on Housewives and I need a choreographer. You want to work with me? And like, I did the first season with her. After the first season, I launched my company, GlamRockSoul Entertainment Group. We had our launch party at Uptown Lounge when Peter Thomas was still owning it. I ended up meeting Cynthia Bailey at Uptown before she became a housewife. You know what I mean? And it just it seems like a story when I say it in succession like this, but I always say like I didn't grow up dreaming of being on reality TV. I just grew up wanting to use the gifts and talents that were like factory settings for me. And it was like, if I can't use them at school, then I'll use them at church. If I can't use them at church, then I'll do choreography for my friends for talent shows. If I can't do it for my friends for talent shows, I'll style my friends who want to be models. Like, I was just like, I want to get this out. It was almost like if I didn't get it out, it would be earned. And so the wonderful thing about Candy is like, we did both go to Tri-Cities High School and we did both kind of get that same training of turning your struggles into storytelling, turning your life into lyric and really making that be made manifest. And so I think the thing that keeps us connected creatively is like she'll throw something out and I'm like, yeah. Like there is no. It's all yes and. It's like, yeah. And even if something is uneasy, it's like, yes, let's try it. And if it doesn't work, then we can both agree that it doesn't work. But it is, I think, this commitment to like storytelling at its truest, rawest form and not being tethered so much to people's opinions, but being more beholden to the responsibility to share the story. This process with her has been a godsend. The day that I posted that I called off my engagement on Valentine's Day, I went to see Candy and Juliet, and she hadn't seen my post. So she was like, you by yourself? You didn't come with nobody? What do you mean? Come with? And I was like, hey, girl, no, that's done. You can go refer to the post. You know what I mean? Like it just became that. But like we talked it and I was like, and now we got a show to do. She was like, yeah, we got a show to do. And so it's been a beautiful moment. We grew up on the same side of town. Both of our brothers have transitioned. Her brother was older than her. My brother was younger than me. And even like our moms have like run into each other, like running errands in the city. But Mama Joyce grabbed me when I got off stage last night, and she was like, I mean, I knew you could sing. But I didn't know you could sing like that. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm so, and it's like, I think at the end of the day, we are there to be like siblings in this process, to really
Yeah.
like look out for each other
Yeah.
because there are people there to do other things for both of us. You know what I mean? So, but I think at the core, we're there to like look out for each other. And I'm grateful and humbled and honored that I've had the responsibility and the opportunity to collaborate with somebody like Candy Burris. When you think about the records that she's written and you think about the proms you've been to, the birthday parties you've been to, the road trips you've been on, like so many of our memories are connected to her ability to write a record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I really do appreciate the the multiple opportunities that I've had to collaborate with her over the years in the way that we've been able to grow alongside each other.
Yeah. And y'all are experiencing similar life happenings in the moment. You also, well, I don't, I would say you did, but you did in a way, and now you're done as well. And so it's like the parallels are there, and and I'm happy that you have that kinship
Yeah.
to work with. So that's pretty beautiful. You talk about being an artist. We haven't really that divot. We haven't even. I don't know if what's the word. we haven't
We haven't.
really. We haven't. Yes, we haven't explored that piece. I watched your Tiny Deck submission. I thought it was really beautiful.
Thank
Was
you.
well shot. And it was you look really good. You sounded really good there. He belongs to the city. Also a really nice. You could see your. I think the thing about your artistry, and when like for your music videos, for example, or your when you watch it, you can see the level of thoughts and the talent that goes into that. So I'm curious about what is that looking like for you now. We've talked about you know the creative direction pieces. We're talking about Cinderella, but now we're looking into the music
Yeah.
aspect of Victor Jackson's work. What is that looking like, and what should the people be expecting?
Yeah. I have a show coming up on May 10th here in Atlanta. It is a show that is a concept that Montre Official, check out Montre, that they're putting together for an upcoming release that they have. And I'm very appreciative for the artists that are in my circle who call me out, who say, hey, come here. Come over here, do this. Just 10 minutes. Here, take this mic. Because it keeps me in the thought process of an artist because it is very easy for me to consume myself with projects from clients and all those things. And so there there's a collection of music that I've been writing since 2023. And I've been writing this music and I've recently realized that a lot of the speed bumps that came in recording and releasing this music was because I needed to release a version of myself to record these words. And in releasing that version of myself with choices, congratulations, April Showers, I've been doing a lot of archival work, going back into my own music. Choices I recorded the first time in 2008. Congratulations, I recorded the first time in 2018. People on City City came out in 2020. And it's like, these are old records and these are old songs, but the lyrics apply so much to like where I am now. And it's been beautiful to reshoot them, re-record them, reapproach these records as I am rebuilding my strength and rebuilding my trust in myself and hearing this new voice for a first time. I am 40. I am Black. I am queer. I have never existed in this earth realm before in this form. And that is exhilarating to me and sometimes exhausting, but overall inspiring. And so the music that is coming out is music that will be carrying you through the summer and fall with a little live situation happening in the fall. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because I get to be me now and not be beholden to any version of me that has been expected, that has been required, or that has been coerced out of me. I get to do this for me on my own terms, knowing that the antennas that it needs to hit, it will connect with. Because
That is.
all the past music has done that. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm, mhm.
I can trust the receipts and rest in it and move forward. So yes, a lot of forward motion will be happening this summer.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear. And also just want to name that you don't look like you're over 30. It's like, oh, I'm 40. I'm like, are you turning 40 this year, or are you
No,
gonna be?
I turned 41 in July.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is. You look like you look like you're 28.
Well, God redeems the time. God does redeem the time. And, when you remove stress from your life, a lot of things are restored back into your existence. And
Okay,
so I'm
so
grateful.
you're feeling light, you're feeling free. You know.
In the words of my good big sister's Destiny's Child, ain't no feeling like being free when your mind's made up and your heart's in the right place.
Okay, okay. Shout out to Destiny's Child.
Always.
Yeah, as someone who is, like you said, you're in your 40s now, you're black, you're queer. What are the lessons that you wish that you could have taught your younger self? Or let me rephrase it in a little bit, right? You're in your 40s, you're black, you're queer. And there are lots of young black queer folks currently who are looking to, explore and do a lot of creative work, whether it's dance, music, or whatever it is. What is your advice to folks who are trying to navigate this industry, especially now where everything
Mhm.
is cutthroat, where, there's so many, the industry, the internet has made the industry very open and free for all.
Yeah.
How would you advise folks, and what would you tell them so that they can stand out and be their own person, especially navigating their blackness and their queerness through the
Yeah.
process?
Yeah, no, I would say learn to trust yourself over and over and over and over again. Because the truth of the matter is, you are already the only you. Like, the truth of the matter is, there's already no one else like you. They could not be like you no matter how much they tried. They could wear the same look, they could go to the same place, they could eat the same thing. Like, it still will not, they could wear the same fragrance. It still would not translate on them the same way that it translates on you. And so the sooner you can be, become comfortable with trusting the voice that is inside of you, the truth that is inside of you, the quicker you can come back to yourself when you hear outside voices. Because you will hear outside voices, and all of them won't be negative. Some of them will be there to guide you, to help you, to, you know what I mean? But you still have to be able to apply that to your map, right? You cannot jump off your path to jump onto somebody else's map. And you should be wary of the people who do the same to you. About constantly putting yourself in positions where you are challenged to trust yourself so that you can see that you can, so that your nervous system can see that it can be trusted with you, so that your brain and your heart can be trusted to be led by you. Because the inspiration, the ideas, the innovation that is coming up in you cannot be savored the same out of a different vessel.
Yeah.
People always laugh at me when I'm like drinking wine and I'm like, no, baby, don't put the champagne in the red wine glass because they operate to different, like both, both the ingredients and the vessels operate differently. They're all created and designed to work with each other to give you an ideal experience. And so it's like, don't look to pour yourself into vessels that don't serve you, and vice versa. at the end of the day, you want to contribute, but not at the cost of your own soul and your own consciousness. So like
Mm,
get get comfortable with hearing your voice and trusting yourself. Because the more you do, when you look at Jalen Josie and her new album, when you look at Justin Ross and the work that he's doing in the film he's about to be in, when you look at Leia and the new single that she just put out, when you look at Candy on stage telling the story of how her relationship came together, broken apart, and how she was able to find a new lease on life through all of it. It's like you're seeing people who at some point in their journey decided, I have to trust my voice. And in trusting their voice, we are all being able to savor their innovation. We are all being impacted by their storytelling. And so that's what I would say to any young, creative, Black, queer, or otherwise. Like, learn to and start getting comfortable with trusting your voice.
And as you were speaking, I was just thinking, and this is a little. I feel like for me personally, trusting my voice. I feel like when I finally went through the process of you're okay, you're a Black, you're queer, you gotta lean into it, you gotta own who you are. More queerness because I grew up in Nigeria, predominantly Black country, so that wasn't really a thing to focus on. But like the
Yeah.
queerness piece, like okay, this is who you are. I feel like I had a bust of creativity that I could not really explain, right? And I'm curious if that was like the same for you, which tying back to someone who if you grow up religious, would you say that being in a space where your Blackness and your queerness was like fully embraced has led you to, like you said, trusting yourself in a way that you probably would not have if you didn't?
I think I figured out that the responsibility to fully embrace my Blackness and queerness was my responsibility and not anybody else's. And that when I fully embraced it and didn't shy away from it when I was sitting in a room with a rapper, or didn't shy away from it when I was in, front row at a church for that matter. Like it became, hey, my nails are white. And yes, I am singing at my friend's funeral. And those are the truths. Anybody who can't align with that truth, then like that's for them to figure out. Cause I'm over here embracing me and embracing my tribe and embracing my missions. You know what I mean? So like I stopped looking for someone else to embrace me because the only way that they can figure out how to embrace me is by seeing me embrace myself. And so I stopped looking for that and I started illustrating that, both in how I embrace myself and how I embrace other Black, queer, and trans people around me. And it became, if you don't feel like you got any safe space anywhere else, I want to constantly affirm you that I can be a safe space for you because I'm being a safe space for me. And I think it was like 2020, like the pandemic, coming back to my parents' house, the world stopping, and me really being like, okay, we've at this point done reality TV, we've done scripted TV, we've put out some songs, we've like done all these things, and the world will still stop. You still don't have no control over whether the world will stop or not. So what are you doing this for now? Like when you do jump back into a pace of productivity, what is it for? And it became to create safe spaces that I felt like I may not have had when I was growing up or when I was discovering my own uniqueness as a Black person and as a queer person and learning how to appreciate it. I was like, the best thing that I can do is just create spaces and bring the people into those spaces and trust, that like this is the mission and no mission is eternal. Like, do the mission, complete the mission, and move to the next mission. Like, I think a lot of times we want our work to be like ours. And I'm like, we're art is to feed people. If
Yeah.
every artist that you love kept all their pieces in their home, we would have nothing in any museum. It's like we got
Mhm.
to get out of we're trying to get from this, and we got to get into the practice of giving and receiving because
Mm.
that is what creates a healthy ecosystem. And so, like, yeah, like I want to I want to make sure that people understand any acceptance that you are looking for starts with accepting yourself.
Mm. Amen. Amen. Okay, we're gonna go into some rapid fire questions really
Okay,
quickly to just
I got you.
feel your feel your pulse a little bit. The first one is, what are the three songs currently on your playlist right now?
Freak by Jalen Josie, Joy by Ray, and April Showers by myself.
Okay, shout out to that. If your journey had a soundtrack, what song represents where you are today?
Believe in Yourself from The Wiz.
Okay, okay. Who is your dream collaboration leaving and, on leaving,
And
undead,
Ascended.
and ascended? Yeah.
Yes, my dream collaboration, Ancestral, is Prince. Living, Victoria Monet.
Okay, cool. From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah.
What is your favorite TV show to binge?
My favorite TV show to binge is Chopped, the cooking reality show. Yes, I will sit down with a bag of chips and a bottle of wine and just watch Chopped.
Yeah,
That's my tea.
I love
Yeah.
Chop. It's also very quick too. It's new contestants every episode. It doesn't get. Yeah, I really love Chopped.
Yeah.
So you have a song called "He Belongs to the City." What
Yes.
is the thing that you believe that you have that belongs to the city?
Huh. What's the thing that I have that belongs to the city? My heart. Atlanta has my heart. And I'll say the specific cities are Atlanta and New York.
Uh,
They have
okay.
my heart. My dad's from Atlanta, my mom's from New York.
Okay. I do love both cities. I love Atlanta for the culture, for it's a dream. I feel like that city
Yes.
has everything. And I think New York, I love Broadway, and New York is just like feeds my Broadway spirit.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's the dream of Atlanta and the pace of New York. Like
yes,
captures my heart.
exactly. What does a perfect Sunday look like for you?
A perfect Sunday for me looks like being at FCBC, shout out to FCBC in New York, in person for service, going to brunch with my friend Alicia afterwards, taking a nap, and then hitting it to Trappy to party with Leon and getting a sandwich from the bodega right there on the corner afterwards. Perfect
Okay, cool.
Sunday. Perfect
Okay,
Sunday
cool.
is a New York Sunday. Now, if it's an Atlanta Sunday, it's watching FCBC virtual and then going to Marcus Bar and Grill for their brunch buffet.
Okay, is FCBC a church?
Yes, it's First Corinthians Baptist Church in New
Okay, cool.
York. Actually, the edifice, like the building they're in now, used to be a movie theater, and my grandparents used to go there on dates. So like it is so when my grandfather passed in 2018, we were in the middle of the Welcome to the Dungeon rehearsals, and I
Yeah.
went to New York for the funeral, and then that weekend went to FCBC. And I've been going there ever since. So whenever I'm in New York, I'm at FCBC, and if I'm not there, I'm watching it online.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out. FCBC.
Yes, FCBC NYC. Shout out to Pastor Mike and Pastor Lakeisha and Pastor Des and Pastor Trey and Reverend Alicia. They're my
Okay,
peoples.
shout out to them. And you said the brunch spot in Atlanta. You said Marcus Brown Grill.
Marcus Bar and Grill. So if you do watch Chopped, then you're familiar with Marcus Samuelson, Iron
Okay.
Chef, Top Chef. Really, really like he owns Red Rooster in New York in the Miami location and other restaurants, but he has a place in Atlanta called Marcus Bar and Grill. It's on Edgewood. They have a brunch buffet. It is delicious. It is delicious. I could name everything on the buffet, but this is rapid fire. But check it out. Everything.
Yes, I'm gonna have to go there when I'm in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Edgewood is a little far though.
It's like it's central. It's central. I mean, it's central depending on where you're set.
Yeah, it depends on where you're staying. Okay, cool. I have
Yeah,
that on my list of places to go to.
yeah.
Final rapid fire question: what is your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure, I once said in an interview, I don't believe in guilty pleasures, but my guilty pleasure has now become a Douce sidecar because I don't really drink liquor as much anymore, and I've turned into a wine girly. So yeah, a Douce sidecar because I may or may not have a headache the next morning, but it's so good.
It's about the experience, the hangover.
It is, but it's like if the bartender can make a really good one, then I'm like, I want another one. And then like by
Mhm.
that time you've had two, and then it's like, well, and it's a headache waiting to happen now. Once upon a time it didn't matter, but now it does.
And I tell folks that, the key to not having a hangover in the morning, I don't know if this is, but for me though, I go out, I have my drinks, I have my fun, I come back, and I take an ibuprofen. And I took
Same.
whatever, Advil, whatever, I take it, go to bed. Like, don't forget, no matter how late you are when you get back, remember, take it, you go to
Listen,
bed, you wake up,
I've
you
tried
don't feel a
the
thing.
milk thistle, BC powders before carb loading before bed, like all those things. And it has really boiled down to the fact that like me and liquor don't play like that no more. Like I need a nice glass, a chill glass of Sauvignon Blanc,
Okay.
and we're good. That's
Yeah.
it.
We love a Sauvignon Blanc. I probably should
Yes, we love
open
a
one after
Sauvignon
this
Blanc, we love
interview.
a sparkling rosé, and we love a Shiraz.
Yeah.
Between those three, we good. We good.
Cool. Cool. Victor, what do you want to leave our listeners with as we wrap up this interview? And this has been such a great conversation. Like I said, so many nuggets. But what is the final thing you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I want to leave the listeners with these three things. You deserve to live, you deserve to love, and you deserve to dance. No matter what happens in your life, never forget those. That's it.
You deserve to live, you deserve to love, you deserve to dance. Thank you so much, Victor. This has
Thank
been
you.
such great conversation. It's a beautiful way to start the season. I feel like this is going to be the energy for this season of this podcast. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your openness. And thank you for the light that you bring into the world and, blessing us with your art. Very, very much appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me the space. And thank you for bringing the energy. Like, even from when you reached out, like, I was looking forward to this conversation. We had to switch some scheduling things around, but I'm glad we did because I feel like this was the perfect time to have this conversation. So, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And if you've been watching or listening, thank you so much for being here till the end. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, use the subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to your podcasts, follow our podcast, Odejuma. And I will share everything you need to know about Victor in the description, links to the music videos, how to find them on Instagram, and everything that you need. I will share in the description. Thank you so much for staying with us. Odejuma.